the IIC, and there, one of the things I do that can cause trouble is chair the Testbed Subcommittee. Testbeds at the IIC are an amazing thing. We have by far the industry's largest and most complete testbed program. You're going to see a few examples here, but it really spans the industry. Our goals, the reason we have the testbed program is so that we can be sure that the work we do actually turns into practical guidance. We want to make sure, you know, we're not just a theoretical organization, we're not just marketing, although I do think marketing is, to change people's minds, a great thing to do, but we are also providing real testable things. So one thing that IISc does that's different than many other organizations, we're working on the theoretical basis like reference architectures, the practical things like what standards to use, the guidance on how to use those standards, the test beds, even products, all at the same time. I've seen other industries that try to do them sequentially because it's more logical, but we do them all at the same time and iterate and go back and do them, iterate and go back. That's an intentional strategy, and you'll see here that it's got some very interesting benefits because it moves much faster. We're trying to move fast. We do that by having lots of test beds. There's 25 approved test beds, probably another something like 20 of them in some form of being approved. They span things from, we have airline baggage management here, and agriculture, and smart grid, and medical systems, and factory automation, and on and on and on, security. It's definitely an interesting and dynamic program. And I'm going to start by asking our panel here to introduce themselves and what company they work for, and what test beds they're doing, and why they're doing that test bed, and maybe why they think it's important. Maybe I'll let someone do that.
Just a quick question. Since we're running 10 minutes behind, I want to make sure that everyone on this panel is okay if we went 10 minutes over. Is that good? Anyone need to catch a flight or anything?
I do, but I'll make it. There's always another flight. It's true. Jamie, yes.
Okay, that's all right. I didn't know if I was to go. All right, so my name is Jamie Smith. I'm with a company called National Instruments. We provide hardware and software systems for doing measurement and control right out there at the edge where the action's happening. And so our hardware and software is used across a wide range of application. It has been selected to be involved in 7 test beds here at the IIC. And we actually host 3 of those test beds at our Industrial Internet of Things laboratory in Austin, Texas. Those 3 test beds are the condition monitoring and predictive maintenance test bed that we're working on primarily with IBM. We also have a microgrid communication and control test bed that we're working on with RTI as well as Cisco. And then we have a test bed that's looking at next generation networking technologies coming out of the IEEE called time-sensitive networks. This is going to help converge OT and IT systems, allows high levels of synchronization and deterministic data communication on the same wire. The technology is used in automotive and in multimedia systems, but also in an industrial setting. So it's a test bed that has 19 member companies. There's plug fests every quarter where people are getting together and for 2 days and working hard to make sure we're making progress on this technology. Cisco Systems, National Instruments, Schneider Electric, Bosch Rexroth are just a few of the companies that are working hard on that test bed. And the reason that we get involved in these things is because it's a really nice way to collaborate with not only companies that we would normally partner with, but also get closer to people that we may compete with in the marketplace. So we're able to bring our technology together and make sure it interoperates and really put the marketplace and the customer first. And we're not just doing a demo or a proof of concept, we're actually making technical progress that gets fed back into these standards bodies and gets this technology to market. All right. Use them both.
Hi, I'm Shyam, Nath. I work for General Electric. GE has a couple of test beds. As you probably know, GE is in different lines of business. We make about 2/3 of the world's jet engines. So if you flew in, there's a very good chance you flew on a GE jet engine. So I'll talk a lot about one that I'm personally involved with, which is around airline smart baggage management. Today, about 7 in 1,000 bags get mishandled. They are either delayed, damaged, or lost. So the airline industry is working together to come up with a new regulation to self-regulate and improve the customer experience, and our Testbed is around that. We have a few others working with partners. Udayan will talk about one. We're working with Infosys as well on asset efficiency, which is around landing gear, predictive maintenance on an aircraft's landing gear, on industrial digital thread, smart water, and a few others.
My name is Brett Murphy. I work for RTI, Real-Time Innovations. We do now that you know the term, a connectivity framework based on the DDS standard. So I am working personally with at least 3 test beds at the IIC. One is in connected care, connecting medical devices together. Another is in connected vehicles, so connecting vehicles to infrastructure. But the one I'll be talking about the most is the one that I work very closely with National Instruments on, which is the microgrid test bed. And for those of you who are not familiar with microgrids, you can imagine that it is just a small portion of the larger power utility grid. It can be islanded and run on its own, which means it has local power sources. Those power sources tend to be renewable, therefore they come and go. Therefore you have to have backup, typically something like a battery. But if you're going to be switching back and forth between sources, you need edge communication and you need edge control. The current power grid does not have that. It's very centralized and very slow to react to changes at the edge. So we're looking at technologies and techniques with this test bed to enable much deeper, much broader installation of renewable energy sources in factories, homes, neighborhoods.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Kim Watson. I'm from Fraunhofer, one of the largest organizations of applied research and development in Germany, in fact, in Europe. I'm the lead of the Smart Factory Web Testbed, together with our partners Katie in Korea. This testbed is about order-driven additive production in a network of factories. The motivation for us in leading this testbed is to help companies to understand what these emerging technologies are all about. They're very confused. They hear words like IIC, Industry 4.0, and many other terminologies, and we endeavour to help them to develop their own technology roadmaps by understanding what these technologies really can do for them.
Hi, my name is Udayan, Joshi. I am with Genpact. We used to be a GE subsidiary, but we are a specialist in middle office, back office outcomes based on analytics for largely the industrial world. And our testbed in IIC in partnership with GE and National Instruments is about aftermarket services revenue forecasting. So we've chosen to work on this testbed because when we talk about IoT with a lot of our industrial customers, especially with original equipment manufacturers, we find a challenge that they face in terms of where and how to get started with IoT and connected equipment, especially in terms of driving specific business outcomes in a measurable way. And therefore, we are making an effort to work with the IIC to create an accelerated starting point for equipment OEMs through this forecasting workbench.
Great. So I'd like to make this very open for your questions if you have questions. I'll warn you, if you don't have questions, I'm going to ask questions. And if I don't get any good responses, I'm going to ask questions like, tell me what you don't like about that other test bed. Why are you doing the same thing that failed before, and things like that. So I'll leave that open. I'll start off with one. So I'm actually, as chair of the testbed approval process, we want a testbed that's actually going to make a real impact on the industry, and it also is testing something. These aren't just showcases. They're not just something that we can put up for marketing benefit. They're supposed to test something, feedback to our IICF and IRA and the other documents that we're producing, and take some risk and fail. It's just fine. So I thought I'd ask each one of them to talk about, what risk are you taking, and maybe what lessons have you already learned if you've taken that risk, and what you would do about that. And while they're talking, think of questions, or else I'm going to ask them what they did wrong. Go
Just want to go left to right again?
One
mix
wants
it
to
up?
ask that.
I want to hear about the risks that Brett is taking.
Okay.
And things that he's doing incorrectly before I go.
The biggest risk I'm taking is working with Jamie. But in all
Good
seriousness,
answer.
we are applying actually the same TSN technology to a particularly challenging problem for microgrids, which is having 100% renewable energy sources in them. You have to have very good time synchronization if you have pure renewable energy sources, because they are DC energy sources. Anyway, I won't get into this technology, but you have to use some pretty high-speed, closely time synchronized distributed control techniques to make that happen. NI has been working with Oak Ridge National Labs, and we have a proof of concept put together. Honestly, I think one of the challenges that we have to look at and figure out is the return on investment. Is it going to be there for these microgrids? It's probably the biggest risk, because you're going to have to apply a lot of controllers, a lot of networking, and so forth to put in these 100% renewable edge sources. Can we actually do it cheaply enough so that it will spread?
So is that one of the goals of the testbed too, to get the business viewpoint out?
Yes, so the next phases are supposed to move into field deployment. We are partnered with 2 utilities in North America, one municipal utility in San Antonio, Texas, CPS Energy. They have a microgrid site that they want to apply this technology to. And then we're also aligned with Duke Energy out of North Carolina.
Can I ask what level of a time scale you try to achieve in terms of synchronization, and what level you achieve?
Can
you repeat the question, please?
Okay, repeat. Yeah, what level of time synchronization you're trying to achieve, and what level have you actually achieved?
So the time sync TSN technology, which is an emerging standard out of IEEE, does 100 nanosecond time synchronization across the network, or better.
That's over the Ethernet, right?
Over the Ethernet.
But,
it's an updated Ethernet standard.
But this connectivity, I think, is at the level, layer 4, which is a transport layer.
Mm-hmm.
You can still do that? Or?
Yes, we take advantage of the time synchronization that's provided by the layer 2 physical layer Ethernet. And then at that upper layer, we now know the precise time between each controller. So they say, start now. When they say start now, they all start now at the same time. And that's what we have to achieve. We have to synchronize the AC, alternating current.
The question is that over the Ethernet, you can probably achieve 100 nanoseconds.
Yeah.
But overall, if we talk about the network, here talking about what kind of the.
Do you mean across the WAN as opposed to the local area network? I'm sorry, I'm not quite following.
It may be cross the network. Cross the LAN.
So within a microgrid, the LAN, the local area net, like the wires, can reach. So it's not an issue there. If you're trying to synchronize between states, then like North Carolina to Texas, then you might have a problem.
So Brett, one quick question. So in the microgrid implementation, are you also, sorry.
No, it's fine.
You're good.
So do we also include any demand management, and at what time scales? Do we go at the level of, say, frequency regulation?
We have some thoughts. Yeah, I'll repeat. Do we include in the test bed anything around demand management other terms for it are demand response. Not at the moment. Well, we have some ideas for doing that. Demand response basically means if you start to lose power, you go and turn off critical loads. And with a microgrid controller, you can do that locally. So yes, we already have use cases where we demonstrate that.
And that was sort of phase one, right? We
Yeah.
showed some basic demand response in node to utility communication.
We can take it offline.
Yeah.
What I mean is from a time synchronization perspective, right? It's not just turning off a load, but managing the grid frequency and the frequency regulation.
Let's not go too deep into how the grid doesn't work today. We have one of our points is we have a very broad. Anybody else want to comment on what they're actually testing and where they're taking risks? So that's clearly a risk. It's a risk across, it requires many companies to participate in and make it happen. So,
Sure. When we decided to build a testbed that would help with a problem that we see the industry facing, the risk involved in that is the purpose is to accelerate, right? Show you with your historical data sets what parts of your equipment data are going to help you predict your outages and therefore your aftermarket services faster. And to what accuracy. The whole purpose is to accelerate this process and therefore help you determine therefore how should you instrument your smart equipment to collect which particular parameters and so on. But if you don't reach that level of accuracy with the available historical data that you have, then you have wasted your time. So it's a trade-off. You could potentially end up with a very clear indicator of exactly which parameters are going to be relevant for you to forecast your outages and therefore your revenues, or you would have found out that all the data that you have available historically is useless and is not going to help you forecast. So that's a trade-off and potentially a risk that you take with forecasting models like ours.
actually, I'd like to point out the difference between here. One's talking about highly technical 100 nanosecond transport technical risk, and he's talking about a business risk where we actually be able to get the money we wanted out of this application direction. That's a great example of the breadth of things. I think I had, yes, go ahead.
Right in our smart factory web test bed, there's a different risk altogether. There's no particular risk regarding real-time performance, as in the other test beds. But the main risk, though, is in the area of semantic interoperability, if I refer to Rajiv's presentation, because we want to transfer data and information about factories, about the assets, about products, about engineering of the machines between factories, and not only between factories, but between countries, between different cultures with different languages. So there's a real semantic interoperability problem there that we think we can solve, but there's a risk in that we can do it with an acceptable level of effort.
So an architectural and even a political risk, not implementing it. So it's great. Everybody got a chance to talk about it. Anybody have other
Good questions here.
I had a quick question on connected cars. I think somebody mentioned. Is that an area we can talk about?
Yes,
Okay.
sure.
So on the connected cars, my name is Arjun and I work for a company called Hughes. I'm specifically involved in the machine learning part and the dashboard side of connected cars.
Yeah.
So for example, we are engaged right now with 3GPP that's speccing out the LTE specs for V2X and things like that.
Right.
Different car OEMs have got their own test labs, they're trying their own proprietary stuff. The connected car test lab that you're talking about, how does that work? Do you have car OEMs participate, software vendors? Could you give me an
So
idea?
that test bed is actually very, very new.
Okay.
It's being led by Infosys
Okay.
and has a V2X equipment provider, and then we're participating as well to offer our data sharing expertise. There's also some of the back-end companies, the cloud platform aspects that are getting involved.
Maybe Azure side of things, the Microsoft, is that what you?
Yeah.
I see. Where's this lab based?
Right now, it is being based in California, but like I said, it's very, very new.
Okay.
And yeah, you guys
All right.
are,
Okay. Thank
GE's
you.
also involved.
You are? Okay.
Yeah, and I'll just make a comment. I think that's, sorry, Stan. I'll just make a comment. I think that's an area where there's opportunity to do more.
Yeah.
So we have some activity in the IIC around the connected vehicle or the semi-autonomous vehicle, but it's fairly limited in scope. So I'll put the call to action out to you, sir, to come join us. You know, get involved in these test beds and help guide the thinking and expand the types of activities.
Okay,
It is a new area we're going into. I don't know, are you familiar with TC204?
no, I'm not. No,
You're not.
no.
I'm speaking there in April.
Okay.
So-
Oh, TCU in Detroit, and is that
No,
what you?
TC204 is an ISO
No,
international
no.
ITS standard
Okay.
body. I'll take it offline.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have a
So-
question here?
Yeah, I just wanted to add the comment that even though testbeds are led by IIC members, there are opportunities for non-members to participate, and we do have a few non-members when either they are end users or they bring in certain technology, they can be part of testbeds.
I see. Okay.
Right,
Thank you.
that's a great question for everybody here. Most test beds actually have some typically big end user kind of participation. It's not always a member of the IIC because it's sometimes difficult for them. Maybe if you could talk for a little bit about your big customers and importantly how you plan on getting this technology to market down the line, because after all the IIC is about making money from point, yes?
Before you go to that, we have one question now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Just one quick question is, in fact, you're talking about the gas and testbed. Sorry. Yes, just a quick question that you're talking about the gas and testbed. It's really big, amazing progress in the yesterday's testbed showcase. So it seems like, to me, it's like creating an open ecosystem for this. So my big question is, what's the biggest challenge currently for the TSN now?
For TSN?
Yes.
Woo! Yeah, I didn't get to talk about my challenges and risks with that testbed. So I'm representing the testbed team. It's quite a large team with 24 organizations in total. It's 19 member companies, I believe, if I got the numbers right, and 5 non-member companies. The biggest risk with time-sensitive networks and the implementation is there's a lot of new technology that has to be built, that has to be proven, that has to be tested. Now, I don't want people to get the impression that time-sensitive networks is completely new networking technology that won't interoperate with existing networking technology, because it will. It's based on 802.1, 802.3, so it'll interoperate perfectly with the legacy systems. But to get these new synchronization and deterministic communications capabilities that are required to do distributed machine control, for instance, you need these new components, new chips from companies like Intel or the other Ethernet chip suppliers. The people who do automation equipment, like those on the test bed, like National Instruments, B&R, Bosch Rexroth, Schneider Electric, they need to create new products that use those chips. The infrastructure people like Hirschman and Cisco and Moxa have to create switches that implement these new chips. Software has to be built on top of it to configure the network to manage the traffic flows. All that's new. Now we're making significant progress every month on that test bed, and it just blows me away that we are making progress at such a clip, and we haven't hit some type of roadblock or brick wall that stopped the progress. But I'd say the biggest risk is just the overall level of new. And we're going to be seeing more and more products getting rolled out based off this technology from the companies that are participating in the test bed.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Go ahead. Your questions are better than mine.
How integral and important are standards to the test beds themselves? And are you identifying places where standards are needed?
Maybe let me take that question and others can chime in. So when we started working on the smart airline baggage management system, the standards body or the consortium of the airlines is called IATA. It's Air Transport Association, and they were coming out with a resolution which kind of sets the gold standard for the airlines and airports to follow in this space. Now, as we started working into it, now we are talking of connecting the bags and baggage equipment, and there are restrictions around what active devices or transmitting devices you can carry in the aircraft while it's airborne. So all those factors have to be considered, and those standards are not dictated by IATA, but they are dictated by the FCC and FAA. So we had to look at those standards to comply with. So in general, our goal is to follow standards which allows one interoperability and universality of our solution.
I want to make a comment, because we're on the TSN testbed, we're not attempting to follow standards, which is incredibly important for some testbeds. We're trying to help write the standards. So the IIC it's not a standards group. You know, we work on interoperability, frameworks, reference architectures, testbeds, but there's an organization called AVNU, which is sort of the Wi-Fi Alliance for TSN. It's an interoperability standard. There's OPC Foundation, which is more of an industrial automation communication standard that we need to work with. There's ODVA that's involved, which is another standards group that we're working with. There's, of course, IEEE standards group. So we're trying to be a central place to validate those standards as they're being written and give them fast feedback to evolve the standards for better clarity or maybe change them if needed.
Yeah, actually, maybe I'll jump in here a little bit. One of the requirements and one of the quality metrics we look for in testbed to get approved is whether you're making an impact, and one of the most important impacts is impact on standard, assessing a standard, driving a standard, changing a standard. But I thought maybe generalize that a little bit and ask you what you thought of the approval process. Getting a testbed approved is not a one-week thing. It takes typically 6 months, 5 months. I see our testbed guy running out of the room here, but maybe you could talk real quick about what you thought of the approval sequence.
Sure. So it's not easy, right? That's the drift you got. But it's very focused. It's very focused on ensuring that the IIC mission is adhered to, and there is a value to the industry as a whole that the testbed will deliver. And therefore, the part related to experimentation that we spoke about earlier is something that we found we had to really work hard on articulating very clearly before our testbed got approved. So to demonstrate that there's value is not enough. It is, in our experience, it was necessary to show that element of what are we going to learn, what is anybody who's going to take a look at this testbed and participate in some way or the other is going to gain as extra knowledge besides hearing to a marketing pitch or a technology pitch is really what was critical in winning approval for the testbed.
Right, I can fully support that. The testbed approval process is on the one hand arduous, on the other hand very rewarding. You get a lot of very good advice on how to make your proposals and ideas very crisp to get across the real values of what your testbed is all about.
So on the microgrid testbed, we were the second one to go through the then non-existent process. So in some ways we guinea pigged and created a lot of the templates and the process and so forth. But one thing I'll say, having done testbed process approvals since then and reviewing proposals that come through, it's an interesting balance between, well, how are you pushing the boundaries, but how are you going to then commercialize and change the business? So you have to get this balance of pushing the envelopes both on the business front, and they want to see some potential, as well as on the technology and integration and bringing things together. So it's interesting to balance those.
I wish the approval process of testbed was as easy as pitching it to the sharks in Shark Tank, but unfortunately it's not. On the positive side, we went through a security review, which is required for every test bed. So security does not become an afterthought like in the case of kettle. So we rest assured we won't be producing any kettles like you heard in the security panel. That made us thinking about the security issues, which we found were very relevant because these are kind of questions. In my case, airlines and airports will ask, how secure is it? Can someone spoof the identity of the bag? Can bag end up in another place? Can bag be misused for wrong purposes? So the structured process makes us think of all the architectural concerns and all the security, and then how it will be feasible for adoption or commercialization.
Okay. I just wanted to point out that how many companies are in TWG, Joseph? Do you know, roughly? Participate in some form?
Yeah, I do, but yes, I know exactly.
Okay, I'd guess about 100.
So we're a public market here, right? So
Yeah. Okay, fine. So whatever. Then the process is you have to put together a proposal, which is a long process, expertly guided by lots of people, including Joseph and staff here, and fit the strategy, which is also a big deal. Then you have to get a review, formal review by at least 2 members. You have to go through an architectural level review, you have to go through a security level review, you have to go, not soon, the communications framework review as well. Then you have to pass a vote of the entire working group that you're worth being brought up to my subcommittee, which is the steering committee, which is the Shark Tank experience. We started to drill people for a while. And then we just recommended the steering committee to actually approve it. So it's actually quite a deal to get approved. And we wanted to do that because we want to put Testbeds through that level of scrutiny and business, technical, implementation, user experience to make it all happen. Make great Testbeds.
So, a very quick follow-up question. I totally get this tedious process for existing systems that are mission critical. There are standards you can upgrade, interop, make sure that at least conform to what's out there today and then improve on it. But then, this is my first time that I've attended an IIoT conference. I'm very active on the IoT side of things. I'm trying to kind of understand the difference. You also talking about test beds that are future-looking, the connected cars. Microgrid to me also is future-looking. In my previous work, I used to work with the smart grid industry, where we were talking about demand and supply architectures, which don't exist today in the form that they were talking about. When you set up test beds like that, which don't have a past precedent, can somebody talk about what does it take to set up a group? What were your objectives in these things? You don't have that much of a fallback to do the detailed analysis that you're referring to. So can you throw some insight on the forward-looking technologies that don't have a past precedent?
Can I make a comment on that? So I would say it really boils down to, is there a significant business benefit or a significant technical benefit that's going to be tested and validated through the test bed?
Okay.
So there isn't a requirement to have, standards involved and rigor in every vector. But if you can demonstrate that there's a significant business benefit and there's a significant technical benefit, then you just need to make sure you're mapping what you're going to do to the reference architecture of the IIC, making sure you're going through the security review, and just having good due diligence on how you're building your test bed and how you're framing it.
Okay.
But I think the level of rigor is appropriately sized based on the type of test bed that's being proposed.
Thank you.
Sheriff, would you agree with that?
Sure. Sure. He called it a sheriff of Testbeds.
Yeah, he's a sheriff of Testbeds.
We actually, guys, we work together pretty closely, and it turns into an interesting culture.
Yeah.
Oh wow, lots of questions.
I was curious, there's a lot of test beds, there's a lot of potential test beds as well. Do members ever just collaborate on the side, maybe kind of a sidebar, and get together? Maybe you can speak about that.
Is anybody playing outside the playground?
There are always, of course, collaborations between the companies. They might not be emphasize within IIC, just like all collaborations, but what we found is that testbeds and the regular presentations of the testbeds at meetings like this, they provoke a lot of thoughts with other IIC members, and so you find a number of testbeds where new IIC members or new partners have joined the existing testbed to improve the overall technologies or whatever in the testbed. So there is indeed quite an active exchange of ideas on testbeds, and the collaboration, I think, does actually increase due to the testbed mechanism.
Yeah, I might just add to that. There are a lot of companies in IIC whose nature of business competes with each other, and in the outside world, collaboration between these companies is often a taboo. But what I've found, when the same people are in IIC settings, in Testbed or other areas, they are much more open for collaboration. And that framework has been provided by IIC, and since all these companies are already members of IIC, there is less barriers of NDA and legal agreements for even competitive companies to start working together.
And I would say also that I've seen an enormous number of collaborations, partnerships, and ideas fostered just through the ecosystem and the face-to-face meetings and the hallway meetings, and we're getting a little more formal about being able to request meetings with each other at these face-to-face meetings. One just specific example for RTI, we are now partnered with Xilinx. They put together an industrial automation reference platform. We just showed that at Bed World last week, 2 weeks ago, and that came about through contacts at the IIC. It's like a little mini testbed, but it's being done outside the testbed.
I got to throw out another example here. I knew what National Instruments was. They probably didn't know what RTI was before this thing, and now we're actually close partners on many different areas. And we definitely built it. I actually chair another group there called the Ecosystem Task Group, part of the business BSSL, business strategy, system life cycle group, which has nothing to do with testbeds directly, but absolutely ecosystem is one of the three big benefits. Three big benefits IIC: ecosystem, architecture and technology, and testbeds. So we're trying to put all these things together. It's not the focus of this panel, but absolutely. Mitch wanted to say something.
Just a quick follow on this. In addition to what just Brad you said, is I myself is also a testbed lead. And then when we do the testbed, there are some member companies. They are not signing up in the partnership, but we post, like I said, we call for help. And with this for the facilities and with these meetings, they will always come to help. And most of the providers are very good input on that. So for example, I'm looking for special sensors. And then there are some members that specialize in sensor solutions, they will come to us. So that's something that is not just the thing we put on the table. There are also a lot of collaborations underneath.
Just to get not in trouble with the legal people, we also have a very strict antitrust policy. I won't go into that, but
Question.
Other question? We had one over here as well.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, you go ahead.
Okay. As I hear, what the Testbed committee is more of system integration of specific application or specific side. So I wonder whether you have any long-term roadmap of making some common testbed architecture so that which may be applicable to any application you may have. I wonder whether that's part of your roadmap, or is it too much out?
Horizontal testing.
Yeah, so I think this is a great area of discussion within the Testbed working group. And again, you could come join us and get involved in the discussion. But we see many architectural elements, many technology elements used across a wide range of industries. So hardware, software offering that we have is using the microgrid testbed, condition monitoring testbed, TSM for manufacturing testbed, and a few others. And so is RTI DDS. It's used across a wide range of test beds. And then these technologies, are referred to, are examples of what can be done in some of the documents, the white papers that we write. So you could say that there's this implicit technology set that's being proven, but then there's also steps to do an explicit discussion of what would be called a horizontal test bed, a set of technologies that's recommended to be built upon for a variety of different vertical applications. So, so that's a very active area of discussion within the Testbed working group meeting. And if you guys want to get my personal opinions on that, I can talk about offline, or we can talk about horizontal test beds up here on the panel.
Well said.
Yeah, so the question I have is, typically we learn a lot from negative outcomes. So basically you seem to have a process of sifting through and making sure it's a rigorous enough, lot of due diligence, a lot of committees to actually get through to make it. So it looks like you're always getting positive outcomes because you have a pretty rigorous front-end process. Now, I'm sure there are some negatives you will point out. Are those negatives in security, interoperability, or is there other things? So it's a two-part question. Answer if there are negative outcomes first, and if they are, where would you put the bucket in?
Let's suppose a negative outcome.
So we didn't put our test beds that have failed up on the panel here.
I'll put a negative outcome on the table. So the condition monitoring and predictive maintenance test bed, I think, has been a very, very good test bed. But as we got into it, it was the first test bed that included a public cloud. It was IBM BlueMix. And as we started to work on a predictive maintenance solution, between our two companies, we had a lot of resourcing challenges. It was tough to get people with the domain knowledge in the data science area and the OT space all getting involved in the test bed and working together to make as much progress as we would have liked to. And so it's been a progress where we've made some fairly significant advancements in that test bed, but we're hoping this year we're going to see a sort of a hockey stick of activity and deliverables coming out, because it's a lot of labor to work on these things and to move things forward. And sometimes you need specialized resources to get involved, and that could be a challenge.
Yeah, I was going to speak about resourcing as well. I mean, one of the test beds that we are working on, RTI, has some government funding, a little bit. And we're using that to advance our connected care test bed work. Outside of that, all of these test beds are what the IC calls internally funded. So it's just resources and budget from the companies involved. So those come and go, and progress comes and goes.
So security and interoperability were never concerns. Whenever the cost of a test bed to raise a red flag.
Yeah, but I think it's likely coming. And actually, don't underestimate.
Wouldn't you say that those are the two biggest red flags?
In fact, we know everybody up here will complain about the security review. One of the reasons we are so rigorous with the security reviews is heaven forbid one of these test beds gets hacked and that publicity gets out.
Right. So there actually is a security test bed. This is one of the horizontal test beds. Exactly at that problem, but they aren't that far along yet. All of them. A lot of test beds have only been approved in the last. There's only a few of them that have been around for more than a couple of years. It takes a while to build these things. So we do have some negative results. Actually, don't underestimate what Jamie said there. One of the results is people underestimate having the existence of the right people to build these systems. It's actually a huge business risk that many companies just say, oh, IT, OT, that's great. If they don't have anybody that can actually speak the two languages, they're going to fail. I think that's actually a negative result that is a valuable result. We can tell you exactly why and who, and that's not an easy thing to do without trying it. It's expensive trying it on your own. So this is an example that came up. Other questions? Pulling on my magic phone here. So Brett, what do you think Jamie said that you don't like? And if you don't have something quick, then I'm going to ask Jamie the same question.
About his test bed?
Yeah, about his test bed.
About Stan.
That stand. TSN Testbed's not using DDS yet.
That is an area that Brett has concern about. Yeah, I think that one comment I'll make, just as you're digging for a volatile question, is I think that these test beds, we need more companies to come join the organization to put ideas on the table for test beds. And I'm going to go back to the connected vehicle thing, and I'm not sure if there's anybody else out there that's either working in semi-autonomous vehicles or Vita X space. We do a lot of that at our company. And if we had the right tier 1 automotive supplier, or the right automotive OEM to propose a test bed, that would help me bring in more resources from my company to help with these efforts. But we're not in a position to propose a test bed because we are not at our core an automotive company. We're a test and measurement and controls company. So I think that we're just getting started on the areas of exploration and demonstration of these IoT technologies.
So I actually asked that question first because I thought it would lead to an answer to your question about a future roadmap. I actually consider things like the IICF, which is building the future, how to put together these standards and do interoperability, as something that does come up in the test beds. There's a lot of interplay with things like that. So, I'm told we're running out of time, so I just wanted to ask a final question for the panel. Unless there's another question from the field, I'm not going to cut those out. How can the audience actually benefit from the test beds, other than joining, which is a great thing to do? But, what are you doing that the people in the audience should pick up on and learn from your test bed? Maybe not tomorrow, but when you're successful down the line.
Yeah, so I can start. First of all, we have a public page of Testbeds, and we put a lot of information that we want to share with everyone. So people can read that, their videos, literatures, white paper. We continue to update that. And so that's a good point to learn more than what you did probably in last 1 hour about a specific testbed that you're interested in. It will also give you people who are the contacts, and you can always connect with them. In general, through IIC, a lot of us get invited to speak in related conferences, so we do try to speak there or do testbed demos, working demos like we did in Barcelona in the Solutions World Congress. So if you go to IIoT conferences, very likely you will meet some of the people from the testbed either speaking about it, or in some cases like Hanover Mesa will be demonstrating your TSN.
A few ideas about how to find more about our Smart Factory web testbed. Next week we're giving a demonstration at the Smart Factory Expo in Korea, and the week after we're at the Steinbeiß in Stuttgart, with a special event for SMEs in Germany on IC testbeds, and of course we're also at the Hanover Trade Fair with quite an exciting linked demonstration covering several booths. So these are all ways to interact with us, and we look forward to talking to you and finding out what you think.
And I would add that a lot of, if you've heard it here, a lot of these test beds, we are involved with standards bodies. They're typically in the industry that the test bed is related to. It could be directly from members of the test bed programs, or it could be through the IEC more formally. But if it's an industry where your company is involved, there's ways to benefit from the testbed program, join the testbed program, as we said, even if you're not an IIC member.
I'm going to state some of the obvious things that we didn't say. If we look at these test beds, the test beds are about making power more reliable and cheaper and cleaner. Test beds are about having more efficient manufacturing lines so the product can be more easily customized to better fit the needs of the consumer. It's about reducing the cost of processing chemicals and power, fossil fuels, so we can all have cheaper fuels. It's about getting your luggage safely to your destination and maybe keeping airports safer. It's about a wide range of other things. So now granted, these things aren't going to just turn on overnight, but there's some really tangible societal benefit that these test beds are trying to lead to. Because I think everybody here on the panel believes that this industrial Internet of Things revolution that's happening is going to change the world. And it's going to happen. The question is how fast and who's going to be in the lead and who's going to be coming up from behind. And I think the people here want to be leading the charge and getting this thing moving as fast as we can.
You just did my quote.
You're welcome.
Great. Well, it absolutely is true. The IIC is the largest of the alphabet soup Internet of Things organizations out there, even non-industrial Internet of Things. I think we have an amazing position and opportunity to lead the market. A very active liaison program, a very active ecosystem program, a very active test program, a very active technical program. We may not be the leaders, but we're definitely well set up to be the leaders right now. And it's an amazing opportunity and privilege to be part of this organization. So with that, I think